Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the Hard Talks podcast. I'm Kenneth Martin, your host, and I'm joined today by Stuart McGinlay from Timberwise. Stuart, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Fantastic. Stuart, if you don't mind, for the guests and the listeners, could you just tell us a wee bit about yourself and how you got involved in the industry?
Yeah, I've been involved for 30 plus years. Started off working for a damp proofing company back in early 80s, doing the repairs, working for a company, ProTim Services, who I worked for about 4 or 5 years, and then I realised quite early on in that part of my career that I wanted to move into the actual like surveying side and doing the surveys and doing that side of it rather than the actual physical jobs. So that took me about another few years to get off the tools and into the surveying side and sit the exams, and then become a trainee surveyor. And then I moved companies, as our industry, it's like a merry-go-round thing. Right. So somebody moves from there and then the whole merry-go-round and then it all settles down again. Right. So I moved quite a few times, worked for Timberwise that I work for now. So I've been with Timberwise. This is my third stint at Timberwise. I was with them as a technician way back then.
Right.
I was then a surveyor with them, probably late 90s into the 2000s, and then I had my own business for about 10 years, and then back to Timberwise, but they'd rebranded at that point, and then came to Timberwise 3 years ago, as they are now. So
you had your own business. That's an interesting one.
Aye,
a business owner.
Aye.
10 years, and then you've
10 years, aye.
Right.
So hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
that you know, when I look back now, so what done for me with my own business was the credit crunch at that particular time.
Yeah.
So I was quite heavily linked, not realising how heavily linked to the chartered surveyors, the estate agents, the mortgage, the house moving part of our business, where the surveyor would do his survey, pick up some damp or woodworm or rot or whatever, and they would need a specialist to come and look at that. And my name was on all of the estate agents and chartered surveyors lists. So I had lots of inquiries and jobs would come out of that. But when the mortgages dried up, when the credit crunch happened, then all of those inquiries started drying up as well.
Yeah.
And it felt great for about a fortnight. You know, I was getting a wee kind of rest,
A wee
lull. I thought, that's good, I'll get caught up here. And then that lull continued and we still had. I managed to keep going, but the fight became, and I think everybody, the nation, you know, were kind of, well, is this going to take 6 weeks or 6 months? And nobody really knew how long that was going to last. And the things that happened, that, you know, the things that spun off of that affected, a bit like Brexit, you know. Brexit's affected things that nobody really thought of. So that was a hard time, but that's when I ended up back at what were Timberwise. So I left Timberwise and then went back to them, but they'd rebranded at that point.
So for the viewers and listeners, tell us a wee bit more about Timberwise. What did Timberwise do for the marketplace?
So they're a specialist surveying company. They do surveys, people's houses, buildings, old, new build. The services that we provide are structural waterproofing, damp proofing, dry rot, woodworm. We've got guys that work for us that do the actual repairs. So we provide a fully rounded service that, you know, if you get a problem in your house, you pick the phone up, one of our qualified guys will come out, identify what that is, price to fix it, and then we get our guys to fix it and sign it off, and you would get a guarantee at the end, for 20-year guarantee or a 10-year guarantee, depending on what you've had done.
Right, okay, interesting. So is that quite a buoyant market just now as things stand?
It has been. It's been since COVID. It kind of took off, surprisingly. One of these things that you don't, you know, you think everybody's all...
Probably people sitting in the house going, I'll just get that fixed, or I'll make an inquiry now, because that's annoying me.
Exactly. It went absolutely off the scale during COVID, or you know, as things went, people were doing things and fixing their houses up, and they're not moving house and stuff. And that continued. It's kind of plateaued a bit now, and We have seen in the last probably 12 months it's plateaued, and maybe a bit of uncertainty with you never really can put your finger on it with politics and wars, and you never put, there's always something like, is that what's causing it, or is that what's causing it?
Combination of things.
Combination of things. So it's not slowed. It's still pretty buoyant, but it's not quite
booming.
No,
yeah,
no.
Fair dues. Well, part and parcel of the Hard Hat podcast is really to dive into the kind of big challenges that's involved in different industries. We've had quite a few guests on. Not all of them are live at the moment in terms of being published, but there's a broad range of challenges in the industry, the construction industry, and it kind of opens my mind having spoke to all the guests just how challenging it is. But in terms of in your field, what's the big burning issue just now?
Recruitment, talent.
Right.
Trying to get the right people in the right places,
Right.
both with skills, geography, expectation, salary, expectation of the benefits that come or don't come with whatever positions that there is. That whole recruitment thing is really difficult, and I think it goes back a long time. In the construction industry in general, not just our business, but I think in the construction industry and our type of businesses, our industry, building preservation and waterproofing, we've been as guilty probably as anybody else. Is not taking enough apprentices on, not replacing the talent that's retiring or leaving. We've not had enough young people because the business is going well, and it's booming, and we're all, mid-30s and 30s and 40-year-old. It's all young guys and girls, everybody working there. Nobody really looks at that back door. And I think that's been a problem across the industry. There hasn't or isn't enough people coming in the other end. And the young people, what we find, the young people that we do bring in, when you start, they actually get out onto site. And some of our jobs can be, it can be unpleasant. It's working on building sites. You might be out in the field. You might be out, in the weather. You might be in a dusty, confined space environment. There's all different sides to the job, which some people thrive on.
Yeah.
But others don't. And we find a lot of the younger kids, when they come in initially, they think they're cut out for it, and they don't quite like that, getting rained upon and things like that.
It's a hard one because we've had a few guests on just now, and recruitment in their specific sectors is a challenge as well. And I don't know if the numbers are declining or increasing, or if it's that thing of when they get out there. I know after having done a college course, for example, or university, then they get in the real world and go, "Oh, this isn't what I thought." And I wonder what is it that the school leavers or the university leavers actually anticipate they're going in terms of the real world working environment. Because I don't know if it's a social media thing where they just see influencers driving around about in big flash cars and think, I'm going to post some TikToks and all of a sudden life's rosy, And I mean, obviously some people are very successful at it, but it's not going to be everyone, is it?
No, I mean, I've got young kids, and I see that, and that you try to instill that work ethic, that you've got to get up and you've got to get on with it, and it doesn't happen itself. And when you speak to young kids that we've interviewed coming to jobs and stuff, I just feel, maybe it's just because I'm getting older and I feel I'm a bit old fashioned. I just feel that they do. There is that thing, oh, there must be an easier way to make some money using, just what you've said about influencers and social medias and all the rest of it. That seems like we're all going to live in Dubai and have a Lamborghini, and that's just not the case, is it? No, it's just not the case.
And I think the other thing, of course, is that AI is taking certain jobs down a route, potentially to extinction some of these jobs. So I would have thought that the trades and construction are jobs that, I mean, let's face it, I can't see that we're going to be sending robots into construction sites anytime soon to start building houses or doing damp proofing in existing buildings, etc. So we're going to need manual labour to get in and do these jobs, and they're going to end up getting pretty well paid, I think, in the future.
Yeah. I mean, there is some mechanical stuff that you can see online. You see them printing these houses with the concrete printer thing.
Yeah, well, one company just went bust during the week. They had set themselves up as a developer to print houses, and they just went bust. So.
Well, not successful. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I noticed recently there was one. There's a tiling machine, so they load the tiles on the back, and it spreads the. So who knows? There might be some automation of we've got robot lawnmowers and robot hoovers in the house and stuff like that. So some jobs will, I think, go.
Yeah.
How big a job that will be, and who can afford that? Who can afford that? The actual equipment, that'll be the.
I think that's right, but I still think that for the youngsters looking at construction as a potential career, I think there's still, even for the youngsters leaving school just now, I think there's a lifetime career in it still for them.
Yeah, I think there's a great opportunity for the youngsters to go into the electrical side of everything, electrical engineering or batteries or, because that's where we're going, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're going to wind turbines, we're going to battery storage, we're going to electric vehicles, but, the gas boiler in your house is going to come out and be changed to something else, electric or whatever. So becoming some kind of electrical thing, really, that's, I would say, that would be the smartest move for the younger ones. Being involved in that side doesn't necessarily be an electrician wiring houses and plugs and stuff, but there's a load of opportunities there, I think.
Yeah, it's a big challenge. It's something that a lot of our guests have spoken about. I think when you look at the £1.5 million houses that we're supposed to be building, I'm going to say I don't know what year it is because I think it changes every month which year we're supposed to be building these 1.5 million houses for. But the challenge when you get through the bureaucracy of planning and all the other, the building control process, the tender, all that stuff, there's still that thing of who's physically going to build these houses. Brexit's obliterated the workforce as well. So I think if we start looking at our own homegrown talent and what we can do to get them into the industry, that would be a great starting point. Some of our guests have mentioned that their companies are actually starting to look at how they can attract as a company and put some initiatives in place to try and bring some of these school leavers and college leavers into the workforce. Is Timberwise starting to look at anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, we've got in-house initiatives to attract talent that we know. So the HR department, if we attract somebody that then fills a role and stays with us for a certain amount of time, there's a well, it doesn't have to always be financial. They have like various different things, like one of these days, your rally day or a weekend. Incentives, that's the one. So a weekend away or this or that. So if you get somebody and we employ them, they obviously have to go through the whole process that we go through to get employed, and then they need to stay for a certain amount of time. Then that person that brought that, because paying for recruitment companies to bring you people costs thousands and thousands of pounds. So those incentives have been with our company internally, and also the employees have been given some incentives, like in Timberwise, you get your birthday as an additional holiday, and there's incentives at each level. There's incentives for, just like what I was saying, for part of your job. If you do this budget or you do that, or reviews, getting good reviews for customer care. If you get good reviews, so many reviews, you get another wee incentive and stuff. Right. So it's all to encourage, and the incentives for employment, bringing the young people on is trying to get them the right training and a mentor inside the company as well, somebody they can go to.
Because that's the thing. Once you've got a talent pool, you want to keep them as well. That's definitely the thing. It's funny. We're just past 21 years in business, Block Architects, and I'm just thinking maybe I should give myself an incentive to stay for another 21 years. Something like that. Before we started the podcast, you also mentioned something else that was a bit of an interesting challenge, which was to do with the British standards have changed.
Yep.
And that has implications on how your surveyors work, but also has implications for the clients as end users. I don't know if you maybe want to explain a wee bit about that for the viewers.
Yeah, so we're talking about the waterproofing industry and the waterproofing in the UK. So there is a standard BS 8102 that the waterproofing is supposed to be done to. So we worked to that standard, and it changed in 2022 to try and tighten up a few areas that were for the client, the ultimate client, the end user, so that they understand when they're paying for waterproofing on their project, what they're actually getting, and to manage their expectation. So us as surveyors who specify that and have the professional indemnity to do that if you're qualified, then that helps. The earlier that person's brought into the project, the easier that whole pathway becomes. Because if I don't, as a qualified person, if I don't come in to nearly the end of the project at the tender stage to price what somebody else has put on a drawing, if it's wrong, then all of that unpicking to get it to get what the client wants and ultimately a dry building can throw a real spanner in the works at that point. And sometimes it doesn't. The thing just charges on anyway. Because somebody somewhere goes, oh, it's too late now, we just need to go with what we've got. And there's a bit of fingers crossed scenario. So that change in the standards was brought around to try and make all of that transition easier and make the process easier, so that we don't get to that point where, we've charged on, so.
Yeah, so what we're saying is that was potentially a bigger issue, and that the British Standard by is now fixing that issue. No.
Yeah. So the standards changed a few times over the years: 1990, 2009, 2022.
You're lucky. That's only 3 changes. Ours change every single month.
Aye. So the changes. This most recent change has been brought about to tighten up the standards of what is the grades of waterproofing that the client is actually thinks he's getting, so that we and then also to clarify that the professionals like yourself should be getting the advice of somebody who's qualified in that specific area to help with the design of waterproofing, to help with how does that work with the structure that we're planning and building? How does that help the ultimate client? Is he getting what he wants if we do it that way? How do we build it in this environment? All of those things that we have to take into consideration when we're at the early stage, when we're planning the build.
Yeah, because for us as architects, I mean, historically, we're looking at a kind of semi-basement, I would say, just now. Well, and I say that half the house at the back is built into a hill, and that's going to have to be a basement, but the front of the house and up the sides is exposed to daylight, and they're fine.
Yeah.
But certainly, it's one of those ones where RPI insurance now, years ago, we typically go out to a manufacturer supplier, work with their technicians to get a detail or a set of details and fire it into building control, and we think, well, we're cool, but certainly, even at that stage back then, it was something that probably RPI insurers would be on the hit for. Now RPI insurers are just, every year, have you designed any basements? Are you going to be designing basements, and putting exclusions in saying you can't do waterproofing, So it is becoming a bit of a challenge for architects and designers to manage all these different components and manage all these, you've got foundations designed, waterproof, and drainage. Drainages went kind of specialist as well, dealing with the retention and the management of water on and off a site. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So even a simple house nowadays that we used to, literally throw the drawings out the door because it was so easy. It can take months and months and months to align all the different packages and the professions, and then put it through planning and building control. So it's getting harder and harder, but for the right reasons, because all of this is designed to protect, I suppose, the end user, but protect future generations. A house that's been sold on and sold on and sold on, that the design is being protected. So there's sensibility to it, but I think it's becoming problematic for the industry and for the pace of which we're doing things. I don't know if you're finding anything, in terms of that British standard. Is it really smoothing things, or is it dragging things out? Or?
Well, what I've found, and so I've been specialising in the waterproofing side of things when I got qualified back in probably 15, 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of specialising in that side of things
Mm-hmm.
more than the day-to-day damp proofing side
Right.
of the business. And it takes a while to actually get through, you know, like to filter through. And it definitely is helping now that there's more and more places adopt it. But we still see things. I still see drawings coming through that basically it's quite obviously a cut and paste from a detail from, you know, 100 years ago.
Yeah.
That has just been put on a drawing,
Mm-hmm.
and you think, well, that just it doesn't comply. You're never going to build that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, but it is definitely getting better. The
Right.
the standards have been raised because we've now got CSSW guys in the manufacturers, CSSW guys in the contractors like myself,
Mm-hmm.
CSSW consultant.
So what does that mean, CSS? For the
So
listeners,
it's
what does that mean, CSSW?
so CSSW is Certificated Surveyor and Structural Waterproofing. So
Right.
that's an exam
Mm-hmm.
sat by people involved in the industry to a certain standard. So you've got to, and that's set by the Property Care Association, who are the kind of overarching governing body for our industry.
Mm-hmm.
So they've designed the exam. You sit the exam. There's the technical paper part of the exam, and then there's an oral exam where they question you on various different things
Mm-hmm.
and show you some projects and ask you what you would do and how you would do it.
Right.
And then you have to pass that. So you can pass the exam and then go back to your job and maybe never do a waterproofing. There's quite a lot of that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
There's, you know,
Right.
there's people have passed the exam and they go back to their day-to-day job, but they don't do much waterproofing because they're involved with like a archetypal damp proofing company who only do an odd waterproofing job.
Right. I'm with you. Right. Okay. Right.
So my involvement has been when I went back to that, going back a few steps here, when I went back to Timberwise, the rebrand,
Mm-hmm.
I went back as a waterproofing specialist because the credit crunch had affected them as well. But the guy, the owner at the time, wanted me to go back. You know, when I phoned him and said, "This is what's happening in my business," and he said, "Well, I'll get you a job because we knew each other. But you know, I've got guys going out the door. Have you got your waterproofing qualification?" I said, "Well, actually, I've just passed it 18 months ago there."
Right.
He said, "Well, you can come in as a waterproofing specialist, but you'll have to build your own side of
the business,
that inquiries and your own jobs and stuff," which was a bit daunting at the time because I was probably the guy I was talking about a minute ago who just done mostly damp proofing and an odd waterproofing job.
Yeah.
So I had to really focus on that,
Mm-hmm.
and we built up quite a decent, you know, business, and people rely. Waterproofing is one of these things that when people have got a problem with an existing building and they can't solve it, and they've tried this and they've tried that, you know, we've talked about builders or you know, surveyors or whatever, you go along and give them a solution and fix it. So when you fix an existing problem, so you've got a problem in a basement, that house that you're talking about building, and it becomes a problem, and I come along and say, right, okay, well, we can fix it doing this, and we fix that. The next time you've got a problem, you phone me because I've got you out of that problem.
That's it. Yeah.
So
you're the go-to guy then.
Aye. And so we built quite a good reputation for that still to this day. People phone me and, you know, I go and look at things and fix. So a lot of our stuff's, I'd probably say a lot of our stuff that I deal with is probably 70% of that type of pre-existing problems. Can you solve this and design something that resolves that issue? 30% new build and design from scratch, and really you want to get to a point where it's kind of 50-50 because the new build stuff, that's where there's probably, for us as contractors, that's where there's lots of meterage, you know. So we're actually currently doing a new spa down in a hotel down in Ayrshire. They're building a new spa,
right?
So that's a new build, and we're putting the membranes in just now and water bars and all the rest of it for the concrete structure that's going to.
Yeah. So it's not just domestic work; it's commercial work as well.
Commercial work as well.
Right. Okay.
So we do. A lot of my customers are all commercial, like building surveyors, structural engineers, architects, sort of most of my clients are commercial clients with their clients are commercial clients as well.
Right, yeah.
So I'm looking at shopping centres and pubs and office blocks and commercial buildings all the time, hotels and all that. I don't do many. I still do some, but I don't do many domestic surveys like I used to.
Right, okay. So with waterproofing then, is it primarily from the ground that you deal with? I mean, I'm probably thinking of the answer to this, but I could be wrong. Would you look at, water ingress issues on roofs and gutters, etc., or is it primarily?
Yeah, so it's substructure.
Substructure works, yeah.
Substructure below ground waterproofing is our thing. Although we do get involved with podium decks, like the lid over car parks,
right. Yeah.
balconies. We try not to get too involved in anything that's not substructure. Like, you sometimes get inquiries that come through, and it's termed as waterproofing in the bill, but it's actually, it's roofing. It's different types of waterproofing. So it's mainly substructure and a bit of podium stuff. What we find is when you're now designing the waterproofing, and it's got maybe a podium deck over a basement, a concrete lid over the basement, the client doesn't want somebody to do the walls and somebody else to do the lid. They want one guarantee for the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we're doing more of that. We're doing one in Glasgow. Well, it's not started yet, but we will be doing one in Glasgow, in one of the streets in Glasgow. There's a pre-existing problem with the lid over the basement that's underneath the pavement, which is quite common in Glasgow and Edinburgh and all over the country, where in the basement's a car park and you're underneath. You can hear the people walking across the pavement above you. The water's been coming in and all the steel's corroded now because of the ingress. So they're going to take that pavement out, put new steels in, a new deck, and then we'll waterproof the top of that and down behind the basement wall.
Right, okay.
So that'll be quite an interesting one to try and achieve all of that with all the stakeholders that are in the building all trying to get into the building when there's no pavement in front of it.
Right, okay. Well, there's the principal designer role coming out then, isn't it?
Aye,
That's it.
aye.
Excellent. Okay. Anything else on the horizon then? Any challenges you might see coming in the industry?
I think that technical, be it British Standard document, will certainly help us. I think the biggest challenge is that recruitment thing, going back to that.
Right, okay.
That's going forward, keeping ahead with bringing new guys and girls on,
right,
to replace the talent, to replace, I'm not going to be around forever, so who replaces me to keep these guys busy? So we keep the young guys coming in at that end, but then so we need to be self-promoting people and educating people and that training. And unfortunately, our company we are big on training. We send all the apprentices away on training. They go to the PCA for training. Before anybody goes anywhere, when they're started at Timberwise, they have a 4-day induction, which is all the basic training of health and safety stuff and all of that. But it's a continual, and I think we're actually this year we're up for nomination certainly for an award with the PCA for our training program.
Great stuff. Good. So, I think it's important, especially. I mean, we have some very basic training when people come in, because we don't have the same risks as contractors in terms of health and safety and what have you. But it's a great thing that contractors doing that. How big is Timberwise? Do you know roughly in terms of employees?
Numbers? We've got about 150 employees.
Right. Okay. So quite a substantial business.
Yeah. So we've got 7 main branches from Cornwall up to Dundee.
Right.
And we've got 150 people. There's about 30 in head office in Northwich, which is near Manchester.
Right.
So the head office is mainly the kind of admin side of all the kind of quotes and reports, and all of the paperwork that we send to our clients all goes there to be checked and make sure that it's it's all what it should be, and there's no omissions or additions that shouldn't be in or out.
Right.
So that all gets checked by head office, and we've got HR, health and safety. We've got our own health and safety people, marketing. So that's good. It's a decent size operation.
Great. Okay. You mentioned earlier that you were one of two people who were qualified in Scotland, if I picked up right, to do what you do.
Yeah, so on that CSSW, once you've got the CSSW, roughly speaking, there's about 700 people in the UK qualified to that level, and they all work through the different aspects of the industry, you know, contractors, manufacturers and stuff like that. But then there's the PCA, Property Care Association, have got a register of waterproofing design specialists who, if you've got a job, if you've got a project in a specific place, you go to their website, go to this list, and you get somebody in that local area. So that waterproofing design specialist is the next stage from CSSW. You need to prove to them that you can put into practice what the qualification is, and it's actually, you know, you've got 3 or 4 years experience in the field. You've given them some projects that they look at and technically, you know, unpick and ask you why have you done that, not this or whatever. So it's basically an advanced part of the same qualification,
Right.
and there's about 10% of the 700 on that list across the UK. So there's about 65 or 70 people on that list across the UK.
Right.
Very London centric.
Right.
Because there's lots of waterproofing basements and iceberg basements. You know, where they're going
5
down.
stories deep.
They're going down, way down. So there's a lot of that expertise is very London centric.
Right.
As you come further north, it thins out somewhat, and that's what I was saying. There's 2 people on the list for Scotland. So anywhere in Scotland, if you put, you know, within 200 miles, there'll be 2 people will come up. If you put in your postcode where you are, the person nearest to you would come up.
Yeah. So you're an important man then in Scotland, realistically.
Well, possibly.
Possibly.
Possibly. Aye.
Fair dues. Okay, well, the previous guest had left a question for you, which was, you've actually answered that, which was, how are you finding the recruitment industry just now? So thank you for doing that. So that's done and dusted. Have you got a question you'd like to leave for the next guest? I know you don't know who they are, but just something you think that might be of interest to listeners.
I suppose going back to that, you know, automation and AI thing,
all right, okay.
You know, what or how would AI or automation, robots affect their business, and how much of their business is involved in that already?
That's a good question. We've had some slants on AI, you know, but not necessarily how much are you already using that. So that's a good one. Are you using AI in Timberwise?
Yes.
All right.
I've found that ChatGPT, we use it, the marketing guys and the website, they use it. Don't ask me what they do with it exactly, but there's definitely a part of their day-to-day work and business now. I use it for my own work. Sometimes I find it quite difficult to get the words out, or I can get the words out when I'm just, you and I are just chatting,
putting it
in paper, and I find using that ChatGPT is, you know, it obviously comes out with some gobbledygook sometimes as well, that you need to check it, but you know, we do use it, and it's a good. You can put a picture in. So one of our guys found a fungus. He was in a pub, I think, in Cambuslang, for when we were doing a survey. Was in behind a wall, and he finds this, you know, fungus, mould, whatever he's never seen before.
Right.
So it's to do with sewage. And he took a picture and instantly got the answer on ChatGPT of what it was. And
it's one of those ones. It's ChatGPT, as I understand, it's probably the entry level. I mean, it's quite sophisticated, don't get me wrong, but it's probably entry level of what AI can do in a business. I know we use it, some of us more than others, but I think the next 12 months for us as architects will be interesting to speak to. I've got a lot of colleagues that I went through university with who are now directors in businesses, and they're starting to tap into different uses for AI. So I think the next 12 months for us will be a matter of trying to think, right, what other architecture or design practices are using AI and how, so we can start integrating it into our business, you know. And it's not really with a goal of trying to replace people. I don't mean it like that. It's really with a goal to how can we make our our team's life a bit easier so that we can get back to our core skills, which is design, as opposed to the whole admin and email and process and stuff of things, because that's just getting really heavy in our industry just now.
Maybe that whole, what we talked about, touched on, you know, where there's all these different aspects of things that you guys have got to know everything about everything, and try and knit all of that together. There must maybe
it's hard. Something that could maybe help us do that, would be good. So fantastic for the viewers and the listeners. If they want to get in contact with you, how's best to reach out?
It's Stuart McGinlay, my name, at timberwise.co.uk.
Fantastic. Stuart, thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm sure there'll be some interesting viewing there for the listeners. I wish you well. Keep an eye on what's happening in the industry over the next 12 months, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks very much, Kenny. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hard Hat Talks. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your shows. That way, you'll be sure to never miss an episode. If you've any feedback or a topic you want us to tackle, please drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Till next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and keep your hard hat on.